One of the greatest costs of this pandemic has been the social isolation. I'm thinking about elderly people locked up in their rooms in care homes for months on end, unable to make contact with their friends and with their relatives. I'm thinking about young people working away from home, living in one-bedroom apartments, and also working from the same place, not getting out, no reason to get out. Even the introverts among us are craving social engagement. And even when we do get together, when churches are able to meet, and that's so great that they can, it feels like we have lost the liberty to be in one another's lives. It feels like the social distance, the 2-meter separation, is not only a physical thing, it's become an emotional thing as well. It's not safe to engage too closely with the people around us. And the mental health costs of this have been absolutely huge. There is a message that comes out which says basically you are on your own. This is tough and we can give you some advice, but you need to work out on your own how to make your way through this thing, how to get out the other side. Even Christian leaders, and I really honour their honesty in this, have ended up saying basically we don't really know what's going on here, but let's just push through this thing. Feels a little bit like the book of Judges where it says each man did what was right in his own eyes. We've just got to work this out for ourselves. And this is so hard because it was never meant to be this way. We were never meant to live out our faith in isolation. Paul says, and this is Philippians chapter 1 and verse 27, he says, "Only let your manner of life be worthy of the gospel of Christ, so that whether I come and see you or am absent, I may hear of you that you are standing firm in one spirit, with one mind, striving side by side for the faith of the gospel." Isn't that wonderful? Striving side by side. That feels like what we've lost at this moment, the sense of striving side by side in this thing. We need help to be able to find one another again in a life-giving way. And I want to speak today about restoring the cultural process, because culture is all about how we live our life together, and culture is a process. So culture is really a very, very simple thing. It means just this. It means that there's a bunch of people and their lives help me to believe. It's as simple as that. There's a bunch of people whose lives inspire faith in me. What does that look like? Well, when you are lost in worship, when you're overwhelmed by his presence, that inspires faith in me. One of the most foundational experiences of my life, many years ago, I was still a teenager. I went to a meeting in a nearby town. It was in a schoolroom, a pretty small room, jam-packed with people. And there was a guy there sitting on the floor because there were no chairs left. And he was probably about my age, but he was lost in worship. And he was just sitting there moaning, "Oh Jesus, oh Jesus." And as I looked at him, something clicked inside of me and I said, I want that. And faith arose that God could invade my life. God could be present in my life in such a way that I would be good for nothing other than moaning, "Oh Jesus, oh Jesus." That thirst for his presence has never ever left me since that day. But the thirst arises because I believe in its possibility. So his life inspired belief in me. And in the same way, when I see you giving generously, giving sacrificially, it causes me to believe as well. And when I hear stories of God using you to heal people, it inspires faith in me as well. Maybe there's a touch of envy as well. God, won't you use me like that? But it speaks faith into my heart. And because it's a culture, it's mutual. And it works the other way too. Not only does your life inspire faith in me, but my life helps you believe as well. So here's this beautiful picture of culture working in our life together. I want to illustrate this for you just by drawing a little diagram here. Okay, so here is your life. And your life impacts my faith. And then my faith, in turn, changes my life. And then my life, as you observe it, impacts your faith, which in turn impacts your life. So you have this beautiful reinforcing cycle taking place of your life and my faith, and my life and your faith. And this is incredibly powerful. This is why culture is so powerful. And it can be a power for good when we're speaking of kingdom cultures, but it can also be a very destructive power when we speak of things like gender-based violence or racism or corruption. Those things get entrenched in a culture and reinforced by these processes of us watching one another and building our lives around that. But in this cycle, we want to use it obviously for kingdom good purposes, to inject kingdom culture into this thing. There's two different processes taking place here. These horizontal lines we will call engagement. And that's engagement too. Because your life can only impact my faith when we connect. It's about being together. It's about that engaging that enables that process to take place. And that engagement needs to be in reality. To be plastic, to be image conscious isn't going to do what it takes. It does need to be real. But it also needs to be faith building. It needs to be positive. We do have this capacity to be together and be utterly real and utterly depressing at the same time. And that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about an engagement that imparts faith. Then the second step is this vertical step here, which we're going to call activation. This is where the elements of my faith and the elements of your faith over here actually expand out into my life at large. This is the process of resolving incongruence. You know that feeling when you think, well, if I believe that, then why does my life look like this? It's about asking those questions and resolving it so that my life really does become a true reflection of my faith underneath. So I said, God, what can I do to help revive, revitalize, reinvigorate this cultural process in our midst? And I believe he's given me a couple of projects that I'm really excited to talk about. The first is a culture curriculum. This is about taking kingdom cultures and bringing it into small group curriculum, because cultures are things that we learn together. So we have to process it together. So here is curriculum for small groups to work through. It's video based. It's a whole number of courses. There's one on the supernatural that's almost ready to be released, so keep your eyes open for that. Video based course lasting 4 weeks, web page back up to the thing. And I'm really excited to be able to put that out there. And there'll be a whole number of others following on. There'll be one on honor, one on authenticity, one on risk, etc., and a whole lot of other subjects. And then I want to focus also on that second step, the step of activation. And I want to do another series of little one-off videos, which is called Faith That Shapes My Life. So we're going to talk about some very, very basic beliefs, things like God is good. You know, you can't get much more basic than that. But we're going to explore just in a brief video how that shapes my life in this current pandemic season. What does it mean for me to live believing that God is good in these circumstances? So keep your eyes open for that as well, and we'll see this stuff very soon. But I'm just hungry and thirsty for us once again to be able to say that we are striving side by side for the faith of the gospel. That will be amazing. Thanks for being with us, and we'll see you soon.